So, welcome back to Strange Stories with the Seeker and the Skeptic. Today, we have with us Lady Gwendolyn. She is a Virgo and a high priestess of the Rowan Temple of Light and a shadow witch. She works with spirit, divination tools, energy healing to help others process through shadow work. And she also works in the Akashic Records. Jonathan and I had the privilege of meeting Lady Gwendolyn this September at the Flatwoods Monster Convention where she was doing readings. She did one for me, and I think Jonathan was, I was not surprised, but I think he was surprised about how spot on you were with some of the things you were telling me, things I needed to work on. Definitely the cards were calling me out, which, we need that wake up call.
They do what they do.
They sure do. They don't hold any punches. They speak the truth. So
Mhm.
so when we were there, we approached Lady Gwendolyn and said we would love to have her on the podcast. So very excited to have you. Thank you so much for doing this with us today.
It is a great honor. I do appreciate it. I loved your energy being in person with you. We had so much fun chatting. It was
Yeah.
great. So yes, it's an
Yeah.
honor. Thank you.
Yeah. And you had a really cool deck. I loved. It was West Virginia specific
Yes,
deck, right?
yes, I do have that with me. So
Yeah.
I can use that if you want that.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
there was a vendor there selling cryptid deck. Now the cryptids that I had was really tiny,
Hmm.
but this is a full on cryptid deck, and it is just amazing.
I think
Oh,
we
cool.
missed that.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
that's cool. So tell us a little bit about like your spiritual path and how you got started.
Well, back in the day, we were laughing. I realized that I started my path 20 years ago in the paranormal field. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 20 years. But whenever I got with the team that I was with at the time, I was just drawn in. And my role as an investigator was also primarily a researcher. I love the history. Like, oh, give me a good juicy story. Like I get cold chills right now talking about it, but I love getting deep in the stories and just figuring out, is the story that they're telling real, or did this actually happen? What's right and what's wrong. And I found that once I started researching, my gifts came alive. And that's whenever I started sensing the spirits more and like hearing what they had to say. It started out actually by me being extremely sick going into locations. And that can happen to you, as a paranormal investigator. Once your sensitivities open up to that energies, it can make you physically ill. The spirit doesn't necessarily have to be a negative energetic field or entity, but just that wakening up. Like we go through spiritual awakenings. I kind of have a feeling that you went through a spiritual awakening not too long ago. um but when we go through that, our whole body reacts to it. Why? Because our body is acclimating to that new level. So that's what happened to me. And I stayed in paranormal for a while, and I'm like, I don't really have anybody to ghost hunt with anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened. So I became a consultant and searching, still staying the researcher, but helping people find teams that would come in and work with them, being that finder. Um, and now I just go to events just so that I can get a little taste of it to kind of curb that, that's missing in my life, that little bit of paranormal that's missing in my life.
I love it. I think we haven't done any investigations or anything like that, but I think if I were to do that, I would want to be on the side of research. I just really
Yeah.
love like investigating the history, trying to understand like the reason, like why would a spirit continue to linger, like what happened, you know what I mean? Like I think those things are really fascinating. So that's really cool that that was your side of things.
Yes. I mean, I've had some wonderful experiences. Unfortunately, when people talk about the paranormal or the strange and unusual, they always go toward the darker stuff first. They want to know the fearful. And it's like, but I don't have those. I have more beautiful. Like, look at one story that sticks out. And I don't know if the other people that was on the team had the same experience or not, but what stuck out with me is there was a husband and wife that passed away on different years, but they could not seem to find each other in the afterlife. The wife was a professional dancer and taught dance, and but I can't remember what the husband did. But in their bedroom, I found music from their time that she would have really gotten into, that they would have danced together to, and I played it, and you see a ball of light come out from both sides of the room and then kind of join together, like I'm seeing your face, like I know, but they just come together and then they danced together around the room, and then they eventually just glided off out the window together. And it's, to me, that's a beautiful experience. Like, we were able to bring two spirits together so that they could pass on together, like they were waiting for each other. So that's my beautiful story.
It really, I mean, that really is the most beautiful ghost story I've ever heard in my life. I love it's such a happy romantic ending. I love
I
it.
know, and you never hear those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, we haven't been doing this podcast for super long, but we have probably 15 or 16 interviews under our belt at this point in
Yeah.
time. And I feel like, Jonathan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we've only had one story where it was kind of like a negative presence. You know, most of it is just neutral, or, it doesn't have like this dark energy. It's just
Yeah.
a spirit that's trapped or,
Yeah.
stuck here.
And I am hugely against instigating.
Okay. Yeah.
Because when during paranormal investigations, I am sorry, but if that was my relative, I don't want someone talking like that to them. You
Tell
know
us
what
what
I
you
mean?
mean by that,
Okay,
instigating.
so in some paranormal shows, they will, some investigators, I am not naming any names, but they will antagonize and push buttons.
Call names.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I know what you're talking about. And if you'll notice, those go one of two ways that I've seen. Either nothing happens at all,
Or physical harm.
negative happens. And that's one
Yeah.
of those situations where a lot of people, in my opinion, I mean, you're going to see what you're going to see or not. Like you can't make something there that's not there.
Yeah.
And there are people who try to do that, and they're charlatans, and they make give everybody else the bad name, and we don't like those guys. But
Exactly.
you're going to see what's there, and the reason why most of the people that you talk to don't have negative experiences unless they do something like that is that for the vast majority, there's not an intention one way or another with what the kind of stuff you're talking about, the energy or whatever you want to call it. It exists and it just is there.
Yeah.
And so whatever you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it.
Well, that's like a poltergeist. You don't create a poltergeist without a lot of negative energy. And sorry, I don't know they know a lot about different, specters and stuff like that. But I mean, they usually manifest in homes where couples are in fighting all the time. And there's a lot of negative energy there. So that just builds and builds and builds until next thing you know, you got cabinet doors flying open and chairs sliding across the room, and it's just the negative energy that we put into it. So if you're keeping your home comfortable and at peace, chances are you having any issues are slim to none.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So in your opinion, poltergeists are a created entity? They're not a spirit that's passed on? Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would classify it as.
Would you say that that would be more something that would be attached more to a person than something that would be attached to a place? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Because you're manifesting it. If it's kind of like your own fear coming to life. Because if you are down on yourself and you are constantly drawing that negative energy to you, it's going to manifest in a certain way. And then bad things are going to start happening to you and around you. And it's just, it gets bad sometimes.
And sometimes it's literal.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is that something that you have experienced in your life? Like
I
people
have
around you?
seen some situations that has occurred. Yeah. And they needed a lot of psychological help to get out of that mind frame, because psychology and paranormal go together like a glove.
Yeah.
And you really can't have one without the other. You have to have some sort of base of knowledge, you know. I mean, not only that, but to understand, you know, if some spirits have done things in their lifetime and that they're still harboring that, how do you help them? I'm more, and this is where I different a little bit. I'm more in the business of investigating in order to help the spirits pass on than I am to go in there and, you know, just find out. You know, I want to go in with a purpose.
Yeah, to help.
I'm a helper.
Yeah.
I'm a helper.
Yes. I love that. And our episode actually it came out today that we're recording this,
Okay.
but it's a great story of like a person who helped she moved into a new house and there was a spirit there and she helped her pass on, you know, through a ritual that she did. And I love that so much because it isn't just like the energy's just getting stuck there and trapped there, right?
Yeah.
Like we're doing something to help this energy complete its cycle, you know. And I like that that's your approach to it as well, like that you're a helper.
Yeah, like I put it as, you know, I keep throwing it up as my grandmother, but if it was my grandmother that was stuck somewhere, I would want to help her move on.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't want her being stuck there. So I'm sure that, you know, if we knew our ancestors were stuck, we would be like, come on, let me pull you through. Let's do this, you know. So yeah, that's my theory.
I like it. One of the things that you shared with us is that you are a shadow witch and you do shadow work with people. So tell us about that.
Okay, so getting to the energy work side of my mini hats. That's exactly what I'm referring to it. All the mini hats that I wear. Is helping people with traumas. Now, today is Tuesday. This is Trauma and Tarot Tuesday. So it's hashtag trauma and tarot. And what I do is I draw 3 cards, and whatever those 3 cards, that is the situation that we are processing through for the week. I also throw up on my social media on Sundays shadow work prompts to kind of help people do it. But I say it, I am not a therapist. I am just someone who is not afraid to walk in those shadows and that has went through their own trauma to help guide others.
Mm-hmm.
But we also go into like a meditative state, and that's where the Akashic records comes in and pull that out as well. So we dig deep. There's a lot of crying and a lot of tears, but we always feel better afterwards. And then once we have those releases, that's whenever I get started on my energy work, because I do Reiki and access bars and some crystals and sound healing. I like have a vast modalities, under my belt that I use. But nobody should ever walk out of here feeling heavier burdens than when they came in. So, but I can give you an example of trauma and terror real quick with my deck. Okay.
That would be great.
Okay. And they're already starting. Well, for funsies, you did mention the West Virginia tarot deck. I can use that one.
Okay.
Then it would get really comical. I used them. Sorry, I was at an event over the weekend and I still have not unpacked.
You're good. No worries.
All right. All right. So West Virginia tarot deck. Also, Mothman.
Awesome.
And this is the original deck. The creator has tweaked it quite a few times since this deck, so I got to rebuy it and use this as a collector's edition. All right, 3-card trauma and tarot. The first card up is the Two of Swords. I don't know how if you can see that or not. Yep. But the Two of Swords is represented by traffic cones. So these are the obstacles, but there are 2 obstacles pulling you in 2 different directions. So think on this situation where you have been pulled in 2 different directions. The 7 of Wands. Now, this is something that you were very passionate about. You were very excited about. You had everything lined up and it was ready to go. But again, you're torn. Both situations seem like they are a blessing. So what did you do? 3 of Pentacles. You got creative, and I feel like you were able to make it work, but okay, I went ahead and pulled a 4th card, the 6 of Swords. So back to those roadblocks. I feel like you tried to pull both sides together and it did not work, and it caused more harm than good. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. So if you were looking at a situation and tried to pull 2 sides, both of them look good. This could also have been jobs that were both financially secured, but you tried to do 2 of them. You try to do one as your main, one as a side hustle, and it just destroyed. You tried to get creative to make them both work, and everything just fell apart. So that's a trauma situation in your life that you had to face. How did you pick yourself up from that? And that is what you would work on.
Well, that sounds like the beginning of 2023 for me. Really? No, I was in a, I'm a therapist, so I don't know, we haven't talked about that, but I do holistic therapy and we're very much on a similar page in what we do with Reiki, the Akashic
Okay.
Records, doing trauma work through energetic means. Absolutely. So I think that's one of the reasons like we were so
That's why you
drawn
were
to,
drawn. Yeah.
yes, to each other. But yeah, like the beginning until the end of July, I was, working my part-time business of my private practice, moving here to Virginia and working a hospice job, and my
Just
life
got
fell
too
apart
much.
for a while. It was too much. Yeah.
Too much, too overwhelming.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd see that.
Yeah. Did any of that resonate with you, Jonathan?
Yeah, for you, absolutely. This is exactly what you dealt with for the first 6 months of this year, and you made a different choice, and you are happier all the time now, and
It's true. Very true.
Good.
I love it. Jonathan is starting to get more into tarot. He bought his first deck the other day and
Oh,
first oracle deck. So we're learning, we're reading books. But I think what we love, well, I don't want to speak for him, but what I love about tarot is just like how the symbols and can just open things up for deeper understanding and just to tell that story, just like you did. You pulled 4 or 5 cards and you could tell an entire story with that can really
yeah.
help people like go in deeper to do that healing work.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it resonates with one person, if it reaches one person, and those are the days, if I get one comment, I don't care, but that says what you do is important. Don't give up. And that's my whole thing with my tarot and my shadow work is don't give up, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not my hashtag, but that's kind of my motto. Don't give up, it's worth it. And that's what I teach the kid. Don't give up.
Yeah.
So,
A good, powerful lesson for sure.
yes. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, I did set my bone set out if you wanted a reading, Jonathan.
That would be awesome. I'm in for sure.
Yeah, tell us about all of that. Your bone set, how you read them. Yeah.
Okay, so I will show you my mat that I created first. It is a pentacle. Each section of the pentacle is a different color representing spirit, earth, air, fire, water. And in the center portion is a representation of self. And so depending on what lands where is what it means for that area. I put this bone set together. Now you can go to different shops and buy your own bone set, but I feel like if you are making your own divination set, then you are more connected to it than anything else. And it just helps it flow better. So for bones, I use chicken bones, rotisserie chicken that you can get at Walmart.
Okay.
But 5 little bones, 5 for each point in the pentacle. A skeleton key to represent opening doorways. A piece of dice. Now, numerically, it only goes up to 6. Don't really need more than 6 to kind of get an idea of what it means. Also from the chicken, 2 little pieces of vertebrae, they represent strength. So wherever they land is where there's a lot of strength there. Pay attention to that area. A piece of citrine. Citrine represents money, finances, happiness, bringing that love. I wouldn't say love, but that power, that sunshine, that light back into your life. Um, a little bunny rabbit that represents things moving quickly. A leaf that represents harvest or reaping what you've sown, fall time, Thanksgiving, things like that. A pentacle representing home. A little skull bead representing ancestors or spirit. And then the one that I like to say last because people cringe, it's a moldavite bead. And if you know anything about crystals, moldavite is the one, and no, that's not the last one. Made a liar out of me. I have a little athame, which is kind of a representative of a scythe, just kind of cutting things out. But anyway, the moldavite is major transformation. Is you cannot change it. You can't do anything to slow it down. It's coming. It's hard, fast, and it's going to blow everything out of the water. Okay, so let's shake them up. Anything that lands outside of this circle is null and void. You do not count that. So that kind of helps out a little bit. All right, so the only thing we have that landed outside was one bone. Everything seems to be landing in home and desire area, the red and the green. This means that the things that you are doing to maintain your home and your lifestyle, this is where we're focusing at. Okay. So the key is there. So it's opening up doorways, and the spirit, the little spirit bead is right there with it. So what you're doing with this podcast and reaching out and talking about spirit stuff like that, that is so obvious here. I find that funny. None of the bones are crossing, which is a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and kind of remove them. What your strength is, because the vertebrae is right next to the moldavite, and they are in your passions. So keep following that. I feel like things are going to be moving forward rather quickly. So hang on. The rabbit is right next to the leaf by that vertebrae and moldavite. So all of that energy consumed right there in your passions is like a freight train moving forward. Like you're not going to be able to slow it down, nor would you want to, because the citrine is right there. So financially, it's gonna be.
Woohoo.
Yeah, trajectory good. Another place, so off from that, is the spirit area. So in the spirit area is another vertebrae and the pentacle. So it seems like you have found your home, your niche. This is where you're comfortable at. And the dice landed on 5. 5 represents changes. So I feel like you're stable. So there's not really a whole need for changes. I feel like that 5 is actually a representation of the next 5 months.
Okay.
So hold on, because it looks like it is going to be a wild ride. So there you go.
I'm excited, first of all, but I want to hear Jonathan's reaction because it's
Yes.
not about me.
Well, that all seems overwhelmingly positive, which is always welcome for sure. A lot of interesting stuff there. There's we are doing the podcast thing, and there are a couple things that we are looking at that I'm looking at for the near future. Some of which I can talk with people about, some of which I'm not ready to talk with people about. That
Right.
I'm hoping will allow me to get rid of my day job and go into more of a creative way of making money and being less miserable. I have a decent job that pays okay, and it's not a bad job by any stretch of the imagination, but it is not. It does not make me happy at all.
Right.
I got to clock in on somebody else's time, and I feel like I wasted a day, and that's not a great feeling. Especially I'm 42.
Yeah.
I'm not 23, and it matters more in your 40s than it did in your 20s. I mean, it mattered then too, but you know what I mean. Um, One of the things, the things that I can talk about is I'm starting to do copy editing. Start doing that as like gonna just do it as a sideline at first and go into doing it more as a way of bringing in actual money. And that's a big change from the things that I've been doing for sure. And it's a big step in certain direction, and it also a step away from like the guarantee of a paycheck.
Yeah.
So all that's very interesting, and everything you're saying kind of feels very interesting in that context. And then also the other thing that we're looking at doing that we're not talking to people on the recordings about yet, that also still loops into this same stuff, does seem to kind of feel the same. What do you think, Brittany?
Yep. all of that. No, to me, like, I mean, and I believe in Jonathan so much, and I know that he can make his dreams come true. I just think it's so nice to like, this has been the source of our conversations lately, you know what I mean? And so to have you come out with this kind of reading where it's like the energy looks favorable, it makes me excited for him. Yeah.
So whenever I said, "Boy, those financials look stable," you were like, "Yes."
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes,
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, y'all, is we have met Gwendolyn, but we don't we don't
Yeah.
speak. She does not know that we're making these plans or these choices. This was a cold reading,
Yeah.
completely cold, and the fact that all of that made sense to the kind of stuff we've been talking about and trying to do is super interesting to me for sure.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you very much for doing that. That was not what I expected. I've not known someone to do bones in real life before, so that super cool
Yeah.
to me. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm happy to do this for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where did you learn this technique?
The bones.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, okay.
I saw people do them, but it was just like I wanted to be more things that make sense to me, things that
Yeah.
I have around here. The bones, of course, I told you where I got them, but some of the, other things like the leaf and the pinnacle, those are just pendants that I use whenever I'm making jewelry.
Yeah.
But they have different representations, and the gemstones, well, gemstones are a part of what I work with, so I had to have them in there. And a lot of people kind of cringe a little bit whenever I talk about that moldavite, but it's like you have to understand the uses of it and the power behind it. You don't just start waving it around willy-nilly like a like a magic wand and think things are going to change. No, you got to do the work too. That energy's there and it'll help you, but you got to put the work in too. So yeah, it was more, and it makes it, to me it sounds a little selfish, but yeah, it's representations that I understand. I can't read other people's tarot readings. So,
Okay.
so you know how on social media some readers will throw out their cards and be like,
Mhm.
what do you see? And I'm like, I don't see nothing.
Cards. I see cards. These are
Yeah.
cards.
I see cards. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't see nothing. I can't read someone else's cards.
Gotcha.
I just I can't. It's what how I do a reading initially is I connect through someone's date of birth because I calculate it and get their life path number. And then from there, I kind of have a connection to that person. And then all the information starts flowing. And then I need kind of need a question or some guidance. Otherwise, you're just gonna hear everything that comes out of my mouth, anything that comes. So if I have a question, I can be like, oh, okay, I need it from this file and this file and this file. But otherwise, it just comes out like you just saw with the bone readings, and that's how it goes. That's pretty much how a reading is, and I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought. I went blank there.
Oh, you're good. When you are doing readings, are you receiving any messages or downloads from guides, or is it really I'm just kind of like feeling into the energy and going based on what the tool is showing me?
Uh, well, okay, so life path number, and then if I'm using cards, then I will look at the cards.
Yeah.
And to give me some sort of an idea of where to go. But at the same time, I also feel like I have a spirit or a guide or whoever over my shoulder. And let me tell you something, that gives you anxiety.
Yeah.
It's like being in school with the teacher standing over your shoulder whispering stuff, and you better not have cheat sheets. And I'm like, just, stop. But just getting that download in helps figure out where things go in order.
Okay.
Put it that way. So like the full card, the first card in the deck, it represents new beginnings, but it also can represent jumping into something and being completely foolish about it, being completely naive. So is it a good thing that you're doing it, or is it something that you shouldn't be jumping into? And then that's where my higher beings are telling me, which way this direction should go.
Okay. So they're kind of just giving you a little bit more context with what you're
Of
seeing.
information.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have a favorite tarot card?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us?
The Queen of Pentacles.
Okay.
And I feel like she represents me the best out of all of them because I do wear many hats. I'm not just clergy, a high priestess. I'm a psychic. I am an event coordinator. I do like all these massive things, and I can still organize them, make sure that the money is flowing where it needs to go. I got business handled, just like the Queen of Pentacles. So I'm not saying that to, but that's who I feel like I resonate with the most, and I love her. And anytime anybody gets a new deck, I'm like, show me the Queen. I don't care about what the rest of them look like. Like this one deck I've got, the pentacles are represented by the squirrel. So the queen is sitting there with a big pentacle and there's a squirrel at her feet. And I'm like, yes, I love it. My mind is total squirrel energy.
I love it.
So yeah.
Well, I feel like that makes sense for you. You shared with us like you have you're a Virgo in many different places in your chart, and Virgo's earth energy, right? And so
Yeah.
is Pentacles, so that you're embracing that Queen Earth energy. I love it.
But I try not to act like it. Like I'm very much not, look at
Yeah,
me.
diva. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so not that.
Yeah. 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 I love it though.
But no, I just, she takes care of business, and
Mhm.
I like that about her. She's very much a planner, and if I don't have plans and I don't have structure, then I am a complete mess. So
I
yeah.
understand.
Got
Me too.
it.
It can be hard, I feel again, I resonate with so much of what you're sharing. Like I feel like I wear a lot of different hats. I'm working on a lot of different projects,
She
you
really is.
know. And
When you hustle, like now is the time of hustle.
yeah.
So if you are, and I think it's more, you're talking about, you're 42, I'm 44. So once talking about when you get to your 40s, late 30s and 40s, it's like, all right, nose to the grindstone. What are we doing for the rest of our life?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, are we living for someone else now, or are we taking that control?
You
And
said
that's kind of where I'm at.
you said Queen of Swords, right?
No,
Pentacles.
Pentacles.
Pentacles. Okay. So I'm going through this as we talk. The deck that I picked up, my first tarot deck, is
Okay.
a little different. It's actually a Crowley Thoth deck.
Oh yes, I have that deck
So
too.
it's very interesting, and there's like a kind of a modernist version of art in this, and I'm trying
Yes.
to find what counts as that in this deck because it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if I seem to be looking away, that is the reason why.
Okay. And I'm not as familiar with that. Like uh, I have over 40 different types of divination.
Hmm.
So I yeah.
So outside of tarot and doing the bone readings, what are some of the other types that you do?
There is oracle, there is pendulum, there is the witch's runes.
Is that different? Very different from
Like
Plutarch?
regular rune. Yes, very different.
Oh, okay. What's the
Um,
difference if
so
in general?
those
I'm sure there's a
have
lot, but
the Futhark represent Norse letters
Mhm.
and language. The witch's runes are symbols that represent different things. Like I mentioned the scythe earlier, and that represents harvest and cutting things out. There is the three rings, which represent unity or wedding. Um, there's spiral, and it represents waves, so either ocean or travel, things like that.
movement.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Very
There's
interesting.
13, I think, in those, in the witch's rune set.
Gotcha. And is that something you've been doing for a long time?
Yeah, I made my own set of those. I mean, I
Awesome.
studied the symbols, and then I made my own set, because I I am not artistic at all. So it looks a little funny, but I feel I'm very drawn to, whenever you are creating your own things, those are the ones that you should really work with the most, because your energy and the energy of that is going to communicate a lot better.
It's super interesting to me. I'm always curious about people's self-made things for sure.
Hmm.
It means if it means more to you, then you're more likely to get results out of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What little opinion I have, I try not to come to too many conclusions, but that does seem to be what people, when I talk to people, that's what people seem to be saying. So
Yeah, it is. That power is amazing. It's just like creating a piece of artwork. The artists and the musicians out there, anytime you create, just like you all, you take pride in what you create, and it comes out beautiful because it's what brings you passion and what you love. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with that. If you're putting your heart and soul into something, it's so much more meaningful, powerful, than if you're just doing it to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, like photographers, if they see through their lens something beautiful, they will capture that beauty.
Yeah.
But if they don't see beauty and they just see something a little bit less desirable, then the pictures just aren't going to turn out.
Yeah, it's just a picture at that point.
Yeah.
You can tell. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Artistry is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it comes in a lot of different forms. Like you use a lot of creativity in the work that you do. You know what I mean? You might not be a physical artist where you're gonna, draw the next masterpiece or paint the next masterpiece, but it's like you're using art and creativity to me in the work that you do.
A lot of mine is cerebral, and I think
Mhm.
that's primarily because I am a Virgo in so many aspects, because I'm ruled by Mercury. So
Yeah.
the mind and communication is very prominent in my chart. And if I don't have proper communication, well, you all know, like I probably irritated the crap out of you messaging
No,
you guys.
you didn't.
Not
But
even a little bit.
that's
Yeah.
just it's just something that's very important to me. I like having that, communication and everybody being on the same page.
Yep.
Things work so much better that way.
They sure do. Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the Rowan Temple of Light and your work as a high priestess?
Okay, so Rowan Temple of Light, or RTOL for short, started September 1st, 2017. And I actually started my clergy journey in 2014. I became a priestess with an online coven at the time. And from there, let's see, 2014, when I joined, became priestess in 16, became a high priestess in, no, priestess in 14, high priestess in 16, started RTOL in 17, 2018, started really doing gatherings and rituals in and around northern West Virginia, and actually had some gatherings throughout the southern part of the state as well. We did rituals at Morgantown Pagan Pride at that point in time in 2018. And then things were handed over to us. And in 2020, we started Central West Virginia Pagan Pride. So now Rowan Temple of Light has 4 events that we do throughout the year. We have grown. We do have clergy throughout West Virginia, and we have a priest that lives in Macedonia. And
Cool.
I have been on a journey with him. We just celebrated his 9-year initiation, from the time I initiated him till his high priesthood now. That has been 9 years. So it's been a long journey and a lot of studying for him. So it's been great.
That's awesome.
But we do events. Our mission is community and sustainability. And we have one of our priestesses is our youth minister. So at our events, she is in charge of doing projects and stuff like that with the kids. And we bring in keynote speakers such as authors and We just announced for next year, our theme is Resurrecting Appalachian Magic. And it's going to be down in Braxton County, like not far from where I met you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so it's going to be big, and it's going to have some paranormal tinge to it as well, because can't have Appalachia without a little paranormal.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's so prevalent?
Well, our Appalachian Mountains are the oldest in like the world. So it's like we have like always been here. Like if you put Pangea together and you look, the Appalachian Mountains are there. We've just been separated from what we have here in the Highlands, like over in Scotland. So, you know, our mountains have been separated, but it's still along the thing. So our roots go deep. Our roots go deep. So we have some of the most amazing fossils here too. So, you know, we know what was here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there are things that you hear in the mountains. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You didn't hear nothing. You didn't hear a baby cry. You didn't hear your name being called. You just go right about your business and keep doing what you were doing.
So
No,
you've had some of those experiences?
yes,
Yes. Oh, wow.
The woods in the middle of the night are around here are a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I've been in the woods since I was a kid with my dad hunting. Like he used to, him and his buddies used to coon hunt, and I would just walk around and wander. So I'm a wild child.
Yeah. That's awesome. You said in your answers that you believe in aliens, you believe in cryptids, and that you feel like they are here to teach us lessons. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so each cryptid is known for something different. And I feel like because I'm such a mind person, I guess I look at them as psychological tools. Maybe you understand what I'm saying here. Okay, let's use the Mothman for example, because everyone knows the Mothman.
Yeah.
So he is. They've said, oh well, he's an owl. Well, owls are night messengers. So I would think that he would be a representation of like, watch your dreams. What messages are you getting at night? Do you feel, if you feel like you had a Mothman sighting, then you need to look at what's going on around you and what your dreams are showing at that point in time, because that's something that is very important in your life right now and needs your full attention. Flatwoods Monster, Braxy, for example, very very elusive. I don't feel Braxy as being negative in any way, but I would see. I don't know why I just feel feminine energy from Braxy, and I feel like she's a representation of us not allowing ourselves to be who we are, like because of the metal of the, it's, we need to break out of that shell, that that door that we built, that shield that we built around us, kind of needs to be broken a little bit. So, my examples.
It's a super interesting take on all of this. And so for you, it's like they're kind of symbols or messengers to kind of deliver, some guidance. Do you believe they're physical entities?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Where do you think they're coming from?
I also believe in other dimensions, or and portals that they can travel back and forth. Like, hey, everybody has a job. Why doesn't cryptids have jobs too? Okay, I need to appear to this person on this day and this person on this day. Like, why the heck not? Right? So, they got to jump through portals just like Doctor Who. get where they need to go. I know how that sounds, but hopefully the right people are hearing that understand.
Oh yeah. No, I've said that on this podcast already of like I believe in other dimensions, and for me I feel like that's the most plausible explanation of where's Bigfoot coming from, where's Braxy coming from, like, or any kind of alien, like some other dimension that they just have figured out how to get through our veil,
Yeah.
It makes sense to me a lot. So
like, I have seen some things in the woods that definitely confirm that not all animals are the size that they're supposed to be. So if I've seen things that are that much bigger than what they're supposed to be, I guarantee there are other things out there.
Yeah.
So,
a very interesting perspective. I really thank you for sharing that with us because it gives me things to think about and just
I was going to say, it's going to make you think now, isn't it?
It sure is.
That's what we're here for.
It is what we're here for.
To bend your mind a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Just keep questioning and thinking and putting the pieces together. And I mean, we've fallen down a few rabbit holes, but I regret nothing with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely want you to plug yourself. So tell us all the things you have going on, where people can find you. We'll link all of your links in our show notes, but give us the rundown of what you're doing.
You want me to do this?
I do for sure.
So my website is Lady Gwendolyn Healing. And on there you can find all about all my different types of healing that I do, and how to book me. There is a tab on there to where you can get a reading with me on demand on the network that I work on. And if you go that route, usually the first 3 minutes are free. So 3 free minutes. That's not too bad. And then there are also links on there to the Rowan Temple of Light website that talks about all that we do over there. As far as our shows that we do, and so right now, currently, I have started my show Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. is my time. I started cauldron readings whenever I made the comment, I've got over 40 different types of divination. They are all in the cauldron.
Okay.
That's
Someone
cool.
pops up and they say they want a reading. They throw me their birthday because, like I said, I tap in through the life path number. I pull a type out of the cauldron and go for it. I give them their reading. This week, actually, I got a new deck, and I've talked to the cart company that did it, and they gave me their full blessing. So I'm really excited to share that. You might like it as the psychology of it, but it's going to be really interesting. This deck and the book and everything is great. But then, So this is October through November, and December through January. That's whenever my Rowan Temple of Light show comes out under the Rowan tree, where we talk magic, we talk community. There, we do spells together, things like that. In February, like mid-February, I will start season 4 of Divination Night. Now, that's whenever I don't do the readings, my guests do. And this is 4 years now of other psychics and readers coming on with me and showing off their skills. Because as you know, not everybody reads the same.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting to explore somebody else and their gifts and get free readings at the same time and promote themselves. So why the heck not, right?
Yeah.
So that, and then after that, I go back to, planning, because we've got the Yule Ball coming up December 16th. And then I'll start working on Beltane in the Hills. That'll be in May. Central West Virginia Pagan Pride is August 10th of next year. And the only event that we do that is online is Pagan Day of Prayer. And that is March 25th of every year. We go live, and people in the community from different backgrounds offer a variety of prayers for our community or whatever's going on in the world, and sharing community that way. So that's pretty much what we do.
Very, very
Awesome.
cool.
In a very long nutshell.
Well, I mean, you're a doer, and so you're doing all the things, and you're spreading a whole lot of light and love out into the world and helping people just access deeper levels of healing. And I think it's beautiful and it's important. And so I thank you. I thank you for doing that work.
I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. It's not very often that you hear that. So that means so much to me. Thank you.
Absolutely. This has been wonderful. I'm so glad that we were able to talk tonight. Thank you so much for doing 2 readings for us today.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Fun. It was fun. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to share before we sign off?
No, I am just beyond grateful, and I'm glad we got everything worked out finally to where we could do this. And
sure.
And definitely want to keep in touch with you guys. So
yeah,
absolutely. Same. Yeah, for sure. We'll do this again.
You're coming back to West Virginia at some point in time, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Of course.
Well, I'll find you then.
We will. I love West Virginia.
I want to come to your Pagan Pride event. I'm gonna talk to him about being able.
I will send you all the information, darling.
Please do.
Cool.
Please do. We'll make some plans.
All
Absolutely.
Right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. You take care, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for being here. If you have a strange story you want to share with us, email us at seekerandskeptic@gmail.com. We look forward to talking to you soon.